I'm your host, Jeff Metrick, your friendly neighborhood libertarian, and welcome to Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian, the show where we take on logical fallacies and see if we can even outsmart the most ardent defenders of personal freedom. Today, we'll be tackling something that sounds fancy, but is actually pretty simple once you get it, the genetic logic fallacy. So buckle up, keep your government ID in your wallet, and let's get started. Now, what is the genetic fallacy? What in the wide world of free markets is the genetic fallacy? Well, it's not about your DNA, and it's not about wearing your mom's old 80s sweater. The genetic fallacy occurs when someone judges an idea, whether it's true or false, based solely on where it came from, rather than what it actually says. For instance, you might say that argument must be wrong because it originated in a government-funded study, or this policy must be dumb because it was first proposed by a politician I dislike. That's the genetic fallacy in action, dismissing or validating an idea because of its source rather than its content. We see this all the time in politics nowadays with Trump and Democrats and everybody, just people not understanding how everything works. This show is about helping people understand how it all works together. Now, let's set this stage. Now, as you all know, libertarians can be quite particular about government. Let's say you hand them a few new traffic regulations or laws. They might respond with, this is written by some bureaucrat who's never driven a car outside a city. Clearly, it's trash. That's a textbook example of the genetic fallacy. Criticizing the law because of its origins, i.e. some bureaucrat, instead of what the law actually does. But before you jump to conclusions, genetic fallacies aren't exclusive to libertarians. Everyone can slip into this type of thinking. Plenty of folks have said, well, that idea came from a big corporation, so it must be evil. Or, that theory was first proposed by my aunt with a tinfoil hat, so it's obviously nonsense. See, anyone can fall into this trap. I've fallen into this trap. Now, let's do a quick quiz to find out if we can actually spot these or not. Now, it wouldn't be Are You Smarter Than a Libertarian without a quick quiz, right? Normally, we'd have a panel of staunch libertarians, but they're busy signing petitions to abolish the local parking meters, so it's just you and me. Let's see how you do. Your friend says this study is funded by a private charity that invests heavily in avocado toast research. Therefore, the results of the study must be biased. Is this the genetic fallacy, or is it legitimate criticism? If you said it might be a genetic fallacy, you're on the right track. Claiming that a study is false just because of its funding source is a genetic fallacy. However, it could be legitimate to investigate potential biases. Just don't dismiss the entire study's conclusion outright. The key is to look at the methodology, data, and peer reviews. Don't label something as false solely because of who funded it. We could all use a dose of that today. Question 2. I got this recipe for brownies from a prison inmate, so those brownies must be terrible. Genetic fallacy or not? Again, that's a genetic fallacy. Maybe the inmate was the best pastry chef in the whole country. You're ignoring the content, aka the actual brownie recipe, and judging it purely on its source. Now let's give a libertarian example. Imagine your libertarian friend Alex. Alex hears about a new environmental regulation. Let's say it's a law that requires factories to meet specific air quality standards. Instantly, Alex goes, no, big government meddling. This was cooked up by the EPA, so it's automatically worthless. And here's what's happening in Alex's mind. He's suspicious of government involvement, so he dismisses the law's content outright because of who proposed it. He's not considering whether the regulations might actually keep the rivers from turning neon green or help curb pollution so that we can breathe without tasting smog. He's ignoring the actual argument or for or against the regulation and focusing on the source. This, my dear viewers, is a genetic fallacy at work. Why is the genetic fallacy so sneaky? The genetic fallacy can be sneaky because sometimes the source of information does matter. For example, if a so-called medical study was written by your cousin Tommy who has never passed Biology 101, it's reasonable to question its credibility. But that's not the same as outright dismissing the study if it is, say, also through evidence, peer-reviewed data, and a legitimate methodology hidden inside. You should use a little critical thinking, investigate the claims, check the facts, and see if the evidence stands up on its own. And yes, absolutely be aware of potential biases. But never assume something is automatically wrong or automatically right just because of where it came from. We can do that with everything. All right. Now, let's go about tips on how to avoid the genetic fallacy. Read the argument. Before judging, ask, what is being claimed here? If you haven't read or listened to the full argument, your dismissal might be a genetic fallacy. 2, check the evidence. Even if a source is questionable, the data or reasoning might still stand on its own. Always check facts, references, and consistency. 3, separate the source from the claim. Sure, we all have biases, but remember, an idea can be right, wrong, or somewhere in between, no matter who said it. 4, stay curious. If your immediate reaction is to say, that's from an organization I dislike, ew, press pause on it. Challenge yourself to see if there are any valid points hidden in there. All right, let's wrap this up as we've been going for a minute now. So, are you smarter than a libertarian, at least when it comes to avoiding the genetic fallacy? I hope so. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be the person who dismisses an entire argument simply because of who wrote it. Whether it's the government, a private investor, or your strange Uncle Bob, or an overcaffeinated YouTuber like me. The source alone does not dictate the strength of the argument. Next time you're about to throw out an idea just because of the story, just take a moment, look a little deeper, and if you see a libertarian friend doing the same, maybe show them this episode. Who knows? It might spark a fun debate. Just make sure to keep the conversation civil, thoughtful, and full of witty comebacks. Thank you for tuning in to Are You Smarter Than the Libertarian? I'm your host, Jeff, reminding you, don't let your ideas be dismissed before you've even tested them. Judge an argument on its merits, not on its birth certificate. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as always, I'm your host, Jeff Metric, reminding you new videos drop every day. Until next time, stay free, stay informed, and stay accountable. Have a great day.